Hi everyone, welcome to another little card tutorial, another little idea that I'm bringing to you. This was from my archives way back in 2013 and it's all about my love of book pages really. So I've combined it with a bit of stamping and a little bit of pattern paper for a different look that you can achieve with any of the stamps that you may have in your collection. So all you need are flower stamps, swirl stamps, although you could actually draw those by hand if you wanted to, some book pages, some pattern paper and a sentiment, and we're ready to go. Choose the colours that you like. I'm going with a blue and brown scheme and of course that book page. So it depends on the flower stamps you're using as to the results that you will get. This is a slightly different one to the one that I'm going to be showing you on the video. So different set of stamps just took me in a slightly different direction. So I'm using a metallic brown card base. It measures 8 inches by 11.5 inches and I've scored it at 5 3/4. That's my card base. I suggest that the card that you use for your card base and your framing is a contrasting colour to that of your patterned paper so that it's going to frame things and make them stand out. And bearing in mind that you're going to use a book page with your pattern paper, choose a design that you like that goes with the book page that you have or are going to use, and then you're going to cut your pattern paper so that it measures 1/4 inch less than your card base to give it a frame. So this one measures 5.5 inches by 7 3/4 inches. This was way back in the day when I used to use double-sided tape to stick everything down. As you know, I like glue these days, but we're going to go with double-sided tape in this instance, and we're going to secure this panel to the front of the card. Then we're going to cut our next frame in the same colour as the card base. That measures 4.5 inches by 6 3/4 inches, so an inch smaller than the patterned paper, and that will give a 1/2 inch border all the way around. Again, this is up to you. You could choose to raise this if you wanted to and use foam pads, but I'm going to stick this flat. So I'm going to keep this card quite flat because it's ideal for posting, even though I'm going to use a little bit of card candy to decorate the flower centres. So the choice is yours. You can choose to raise it or stick it flat as I am doing here. And then we're going to do the stamping. So you're going to need a piece of book page that measures 1/4 inch smaller than your brown frame. So this piece measures 4.25 inches by 6.5 inches. So taking a greeting stamp of your choice, cut a little piece of card that it fits onto nicely. So mine's roughly 2.5 inches by 1.25 inches, and I am stamping my greeting in black archival. Now the beauty of stamping in black, whenever you choose to do it, is if you get a little piece that perhaps hasn't quite stamped perfectly, just get out a fine black pen and draw in or draw over those little areas of lightness where the stamp didn't quite give a perfect impression. No one will ever know. If you're doing this for an image that you're going to colour in, you might want to do that afterwards if your pen isn't permanent and you're using a water-based colouring medium. Then you're going to mount that greeting onto a piece of the brown cardstock that is slightly bigger than your greeting, just showing it to you upside down there. And I think I'll take this in the days when I didn't know how to turn everything around, so that could be why I've just showed it to you completely upside down. How times change when you know what you're doing. The next thing that you want is a swirl stamp of some kind, or it could be a foliage stamp of some kind. And again, using the black archival, I'm going to create a sort of a series of swirls, thinking about, you know, swirls that these flowers are going to be growing out from or blooming out from, and just arranging them across the book page. So just giving myself lots of places where I can place those flowers. And like I said, it doesn't have to be swirls, it could quite easily be foliage if you want, and you could actually freehand draw these if you want to. Actually looks like I'm creating a little tree of swirls. just making sure that I've got a nice arrangement across that book page, bearing in mind that I'm not actually going to be putting flowers where that greeting is going. I might just do one more there. And then you can attach that stamped book page into position on the centre front of your card. Next, I'm going to attach the greeting. This time I am going to raise this slightly from the bottom right hand corner, and I'm just evenly spacing that and adding it with foam tape. But if you are keeping everything flat, you could use double-sided tape if you want to. So I'm picking a flower stamp that just gives me the possibility of layering up those flower shapes. So you can either keep these flat or you can layer them as I'm going to show you. So I'm stamping a selection of flowers, as many as I can fit into this little piece of paper, which is the same as that I have used on the frame for the card. And then it's time to take your scissors and to cut them all out. So you can choose stamps that suit the paper that you're using. These little shapes are quite simple, and my patterned paper is quite simple, so the overall look goes together. You might have really fancy flower stamps and you might want to use a really intricate patterned paper in with your book pages. The look that you go for with this idea is entirely up to you. Have fun with it and really explore all the different possibilities. And this particular flower stamp lends itself to a little bit of layering. So I'm sticking the first flower down flat. So this time I am using glue and popping them in positions on those swirls where I think they might naturally grow and bloom. Once I'm happy with the amount of flowers I've got, I'm going to cut around a slightly smaller image of the flower so that I can layer these up. So I'm just coming down, these are sort of drawn in a sketchy style and they have 3 layers, and I've just taken one of those layers off, so this is slightly smaller than the original flower stamp, and that allows me to decoupage one on top of the other, and I'm just shaping them slightly. So this is another option. Have a look at your stamps, think of your postal situation and decide whether you want to do some layering with your patterned papers as well. I could quite easily actually have also done some of this layering with a book page stamped flower as well. So I could have had my base flower in the patterned paper and then perhaps had a book page for a slightly smaller flower if I was layering up in that way. So lots of different ideas for you to try. So shaping them slightly, a little bit of glue on the bottom and attaching them in place. So I'm only going to do that with 3 of the flowers. And you also have lots of choices when it comes to flower centres. You could use gems, or you could use dimensional glues or stickles. If I had had slightly darker buttons, they might have worked, but they were a little bit pale against the paper that I'm using. You could use something like card candy again. Wasn't quite happy with the size of them on my little flowers, so for this particular flower stamp I'm going to make my own card candy, and I'm going to show you how to do that. This is a really useful way of making little raised embellishments that match the project exactly. So I'm taking some of that brown cardstock and I'm cutting some circles. And for the purposes of demonstrating, I've cut some little 1/2-inch circles, which are going to be a little bit too big, as you can see, or I'm using a hole punch to get some smaller circles. And then I'm just pushing down in the center of those little dots and creating a little dome shape with those little circles of card, and they just give that enough definition and a little bit of texture added to the center of those flowers to finish them off. They really are a fun way to create flower centers. So on a bigger circle you would just run your embossing tool right around the edge, and you can see I'm using the slightly bigger ball end of the board tool in order to do this. That makes it into a little cup shape. You can see if I had had a slightly bigger flower that would have worked, but I like the smaller version better. So just zooming in so you can really see what's going on. So with the 1/2 inch circle, I'm going right around the edge, and you can see it kind of just draws it upwards and almost creates little tiny pleats around the edge of the circle. And with a little piece of foam under there, foam tape under there, you would get a lovely raised embellishment for any flower centre. But as I said, they're a little bit big for these flowers, so I'm just again circling my small ball tool in what I punched with a hole punch, and that's just giving that enough little definition, so little cup shaped piece of card to sit in the centre of my flowers. And I also decided to do a few more so that I can add extra embellishments on to the little swirls themselves. And as I said before, you could do this with little tiny buttons or gems or pearls just the same. It's all about having little ideas and colour coordinating and matching up your embellishments to suit your project. So the sky's the limit with all the different ways you could take this, but this is the idea of using some flower stamps, some patterned paper mixed with your book pages to make a quick but very pretty card. I hope you'll agree. This may also turn out to be one of the quickest videos I've posted in a long while as well. So I'm going to be attaching these because they're quite small with little dots of silicone glue. If you've got something slightly bigger, you could use foam pads if you wanted to, but that's a little bit fiddly when they are small little dots like these. And also once that silicone glue is dry, it will just add that support and stop those little cushions that you've made from flattening when this is in an envelope. And then securing all of the little extra dots that I've used to embellish the card. Actually, I have had a little bit of a giggle as I've edited this together. This, like I said, is going to be one of my shortest videos. I didn't actually decorate the centres of the cards way back in 2013, so I progressed a little bit there, and also learnt how to turn these images around. So I've had to keep turning these up and down. You can see where I've flipped the image back to the original because my hands are coming out from the top of the screen, where normally they come out from the bottom. And once again, I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial and that I've given you some ideas. This would work really well on a journal page, for instance. You could use this technique of matching or stamping onto pattern papers and then putting them on top of a book page. It would give a really nice effect indeed with a lovely quote. So lots of things that you could do with this. I'm sure you can take this in all sorts of different directions looking at some of the stamps that you've got. But that look of combining the pattern paper with the book page, that was the thing that drove me to design these cards, and I hope that you've enjoyed the tutorial. If you have, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button, the share button, particularly that share button, and I look forward to crafting with you again soon. Thank you for watching. So if you want to do a little bit more paper piecing, why not look at this tutorial? You can find this over either on my card playlist, or this is the link directly to that video. I also have this one. This is paper piecing, but this time without the book pages, and I will show you exactly how to make these minion cards, and you can get the template by emailing me if you want to have a go at this yourself. This takes advantage of mixing and matching pattern papers and book pages if you look at the sun up in the top right hand corner, and you can find out exactly how to do this over on this little video. And then last but not least, why not pop along to my Etsy shop and take a look at the workshops that are available over there. You could learn how to make these gorgeous cakes perfect for any celebration. All of them contain minis, and the wedding cake actually contains 3, and they make fabulous gifts to mark any special occasion, and I will show you exactly how to make them, give you all the dimensions that you need, as well as some photographic instructions and suggestions that shows you how to make a 1-tier cake, 2-tier cake, 3-tier cake. The sky's the limit really, and they really do make fun creations that you can make with all your gorgeous scrapbooking papers. So if you pop along to my Etsy shop, you can find out all about that over there.